Disney just announced that they are developing a live-action remake of Tangled, which is their modern retelling of the fairy tale of Rapunzel. And as you can probably guess, the conversation about casting for this role has already gotten ugly, and there are plenty of people on the internet who are emotionally attached to race swapping this character. Like, they need it to happen or they're going to have a mental breakdown. So here's what we know so far according to a Deadline report. Michael Gracie, known for The Greatest Showman, has entered negotiations to direct this movie for Disney. And Brett, since you haven't watched it before, and I'm sure you didn't grow up with the Brothers Grimm fairy tale either, let me just give a summary.
Okay.
So this says, according to their story, they're gonna stick to the animated version that they made in 2010 instead of the fairy tale. But this is about a spirited young princess with magical golden hair who escapes from her isolated tower and embarks on an adventure with a charming thief, Flynn Rider, who ironically was voiced by Zachary Levi back in 2010. They are not going to cast Zachary Levi as Flynn Rider in this version. But
I would be shocked, yes.
Yeah, there is still no word yet on casting. They also have a first draft of the script written by Jennifer Caton Robinson, who was behind Do Revenge, Thor Love and Thunder, and Sony's upcoming reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's all we know so far. Yeah. So all we know is basically they're going to mess this up. Like, you can guess that. That's a safe guess. Disney has been releasing dumpster fire after dumpster fire when it comes to their live action remakes. Snow White just being the most recent example. But I mean, even they made a live action Aladdin that no one cared about. Remember that?
Live action Aladdin did well.
It did it? How much money did it make?
But I can look at,
because I don't remember. I don't even see people like talking about it. I mean, even back when it came out,
2018, right?
Then obviously Halle Bailey playing
no
Ariel
movies,
in the Little Mermaid remake.
Movies coming out right now, like, you know, all of these live action remakes, whether you're kind of right either way. Like, even if it made money, that doesn't make it culturally significant.
Oh yeah, that's basically what I mean. It's like nobody cares.
You're correct.
So online discussions have some fan casting suggestions already. I'm going to list off some popular choices. Thank you. Actually, I remember we talked about this earlier this year. Do you remember?
Yes.
When this first came out?
We were talking about whether Avantico would be...
Yes, yeah. Well, here were the suggestions so far to play Rapunzel. They want Zendaya to play Rapunzel.
It made $1 billion.
They want either Zendaya or Amanda Stenberg to play Rapunzel.
Okay.
In the live action remake. They also have suggested for Flynn Rider, Timothy Chalamet or Ansel Elgort. He actually got canceled, so he can't do it.
I was going to say Ansel Elgort just to be different.
Right. So we're looking at the casting of a white blonde princess, and she's probably going to be played by Zendaya, Amanda Stenberg from The Acolyte, and then another Bollywood actress who you might have seen in the Mean Girls musical reboot, Avantika Vandanapu. I don't know if I said that correctly.
I like her more than the other two. In the Mean Girls,
she played the race-swapped Karen.
She did, and in a bad movie, she was kind of the bright spot for me.
She was okay.
She was
almost slightly tolerable.
Or believable as a mean girl.
She was believable as being dumb.
Yes.
Which is her character. I understand that.
She did that very well.
There are just some people who are determined to make sure that Disney race swaps Rapunzel to the point where I honestly feel bad for them. Like, this is the biggest problem they have in their life. Mm. Here were some other suggestions. Sydney Sweeney, obviously. Dove Cameron was another idea for Rapunzel. She wouldn't be so bad, but
No.
also, isn't she too old to play Rapunzel? Madeline Klein was another blonde actress that was suggested.
She's probably too old too.
She is too.
Dove Cameron, if she was younger, probably would have been an okay choice.
You know what? Just cast Trisha Paytas. I don't care.
You see what she's going on Broadway?
Florence Pugh. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Trisha Paytas going on Broadway.
She's living out all of her dreams. I'm kind of here for it. But yeah, they're saying Florence Pugh could play Rapunzel.
Just to kind of put it into perspective, Mary mentioned just a couple minutes ago, she's like, well, that 2019 Aladdin movie that nobody cared about, right? That movie made $1 billion. Nobody
it's
cares.
because of globalism.
Yeah.
Like the nobody, I don't think like many people, not many Western viewers cared about that movie. Mostly, I would guess it made most of its money overseas, right?
Yeah. It made $355 million in the U.S. That's actually I mean, it's uneven, but it's
okay.
not bad. That's a pretty good run for the U.S. But I mean, but it doesn't belie the point. Your point is correct that it's all of these movies.
No one even like
nobody
remembers.
cares. Nobody remembers. All I remember is like Will Smith as the genie wasn't the worst choice I'd ever heard.
Zayn Malik was in it. Am I wrong?
My point was like
no, he was on the soundtrack
prior to the Oscars debacle.
Yeah,
Will Smith is the genie. Actually, like you can't replace Robin Williams anyways. Will Smith isn't the worst option I'd ever heard, considering they had to make him completely different. Maybe they should make him and Glinda their own movie.
But there you go, right?
Blue and green.
Princess Jasmine is already an example of a South Asian character providing representation in the lineup of Disney princesses. So why exactly do we need to take a white character and make her South Asian? Why? Well, according to this explanation from one Twitter user, it's going over your heads. I'm saying that Rapunzel's actress doesn't need to be white because wigs exist. So regardless of her skin color, Rapunzel's hair could still be blonde. Well, this controversy first arose before any of these details were known about the movie. Back in April, I saw it was trending on TikTok, #NotMyRapunzel. There were all of these blonde white girls making TikToks saying they specifically do not want Disney to race swap this character because as blonde white girls, they deserve to feel represented too. But then that became its own controversy, and all of those girls were being called racist for wanting a character that looks like them. Especially in a live action remake, which have been cursed perpetually with unnecessary race swaps that are only working to create bad will. But I found this blog post from back in April saying Indian-American actress Avantika Vandanapu, known in Hollywood simply as Avantika, has found herself at the center of major controversy around the rumor that she would play Rapunzel in an alleged Disney live-action Tangled. This rumor originated from a fan casting on X, quickly gained traction, and social media users expressed their distaste for the casting through intense cyberbullying of the actress. Critics of the fan cast claim that they are fed up with race swapping of characters in Disney films, sharing that the live-action versions of Disney princesses should look exactly how they do in the animated movies. Many Indians and other POCs perceived the backlash from white critics as resistance to seeing women of color in prominent roles on screen. Some viewed this as irony that individuals who are accustomed to seeing characters reflecting their racial background in Hollywood are struggling to accept a character being of a different race than them, as people of color have had to endure this for most of their life. For any of the Gen Z women who are talking about this, they grew up with Princess Jasmine. She was always part of the lineup of Disney princesses from the late 90s going forward. Yeah. So you had representation from that point on. And I just don't care about the whining. It's obviously it's a Disney princess. It's not the end of the world. This is the definition of a first world problem. But the hatred is very real. Like the anti-white sentiment is very real, and it comes from a real place of animosity, and I don't think it comes from a positive place of wanting representation. That was always just a front, and it was always about seeing less white people on screen.
Yeah.
You know, simply because most of these people, they hate white people. And these are European stories at the end of the day. If it's a Brothers Grimm fairy tale, it's already been bastardized by Disney enough. When they made the animated version of it, I'm sure they abridged so many details that it's almost unrecognizable now.
Yeah.
But do we need to completely make it unrecognizable from the remade version of it, like the modern version of it?
Well, they're not going to care anyways, because they're going to assume that the young people watching it won't know anything about the original material anyways. That's their logic.
Right, but was that true for The Little Mermaid? They were expecting a lot of millennial women with kids to go see that movie, and it barely made its money back. I don't think... Did The Little Mermaid even make its money
million or something like that?
Barely broke even.
Something like that. It might have made a little bit of profit. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But like
no, because I don't remember what the budget was. If it was over $200 million, then it didn't make its money back.
They were counting on like millennial women who grew up with the animated Little Mermaid to go buy tickets for that and bring their kids to it. And if you make it unrecognizable from what those people grew up with, and it's not bringing them in on the nostalgia factor, like what's the point?
Never mind. It lost a crap ton of money.
How much did it lose?
So it was, I completely forgot about it. So the movie made $569 million total.
Okay, yeah.
On a budget of $355 million.
That's not counting marketing as well.
I mean, yeah, like even if it did, $355 million means that they need to make $1 billion to come.
So it lost hundreds of millions of dollars, basically.
Yep.
Didn't even go so well for them, even though Halle Bailey isn't annoying like Rachel Zegler.
No, most people pointed out, I was listening to a video that they said, look, she was very gracious during the process of making that and didn't divide anyone unnecessarily in any way that was going to ruin things. It was just a movie that was kind of doomed from the start, and that wasn't her fault for the most part. I mean,
I don't blame her for taking the job.
I'll never blame it. Like it's sort of like I will never blame any of these actors for taking a job that people ideologically disagree with. And I know a lot of people in the chat don't. A lot of people in the chat will say, you know, they should not do that. It's bad. But you know, they're a working man or woman. They got a job. They got to put food on the table. I'm not going to hold
Halle
that against
Bailey is a mother.
Hold it against the studios for continually implementing these policies. And like I said, for me, when it comes to race swaps, not necessarily in this case because it's not really the same thing, but most of the time I give it grace if it's an actor that has strong name recognition and they know can bring box office profits in for them. Or like, what's bigger right now? The history of this story or the actor that we're putting on screen? Mm-hmm. And most of the time, if they choose an actor who's bigger, the film will do fine. And then we can still have that same discussion, whether it's right or not. But at the very least, I understand where the studio gets the idea from because they're looking to make their money back.
We have another 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. I have no doubt that since the announcement of Tangled through the final release, the amount of PR money spent on cleanup on aisle 2 situations is going to be in the millions. And who knows if they're even going to make those millions back.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.